Looking to make a difference with your shopping? Visit communitypayitforward.us. Select the mission or cause you want to support and scan the QR code. You have two options. Click the first link and browse our giving partners, or use the second link to tell us what you need, and we'll find the right partners for you. Shop with these partners and keep your receipt or invoice. Next, click a picture or simply upload a picture of your receipt to the portal in every form, adding your name and email address. Your purchase now turns into a donation to the mission you've chosen. Community
Community
Pay It
pay.
Forward shares your business story with those in need of your services to rally support for those who need us all. Welcome back. It seems like I haven't seen you forever, or at least, like 2 minutes. Um, Sorry about having to split things up. Anybody who watches my 22-hour podcast knows what happens. I am uh, I am held together by the rules of the streaming devices, so blame them. Um, yeah, I don't care. You can blame me too. That's fine. I'm the one who pays for him. Actually, that's not true. Jill Schultz, JillESchultz.com. She's the one who actually pays for him now as a sponsor to the Pack Channel. Again, our very first sponsor of the Pack Channel. Hey, above me, you will see a QR code, a little green and purple QR code. That green and purple QR code is there for you to tell your story. Have you dealt with problems in mental health? Have you dealt with problems in life? Have you lost somebody to the fight against suicide? Please scan that QR code. Come on, tell our story. Tell your story. Don't tell our story. Because that's what we're here to do. Is we're here to share your stories, share your wins, share your losses, and make sure other people can hear your story. That's what we're doing here today with a returning partner. Sierra is a beautiful, beautiful young lady who got started on her journey very young. And all of us understand that when you're young and things start falling apart, it's really hard to keep it together. Um, as, as you age, you still have trouble keeping stuff together. You just get more accustomed to it. Well, Sierra ended up losing her animal. And look, I'm not gonna joke around about this. I'm not gonna putz around about this. I'm not gonna, I'm not even gonna right there on the back of my right here. This is my Brody. That's all I have left of my Brody. Okay. You all see baby girl, you see ghost, you see my fish, you every once in a while people lucky people will see Rose come up. Um, I love my animals. She lost her dog, and when you think that that's as bad as it's going to get, and then all of a sudden you lose your grandmother who had failing health. Everything came down on her, and had she sought help, and I am so glad she did, because she is the sweetest, one of the sweetest young ladies I have ever met in my life, and everyone's life is better with her in it. And so I'd like to present to you our friend and our partner, Sierra Joy, with Obsidian Assistance. If I can press the button, because I got this stupid thing in the way. There we go. All right. And for this one, it's been a little while, and things changed, and we are proud to have her back full form, and fully able and fully ready to help people. I'm proud to introduce Sierra Joy with Obsidian Assistance. How are you doing?
I'm doing phenomenal, Zach. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm starting to wake up a little bit, which is nice, pretty late last night, watching the fireworks and everything, and getting started pretty early, which is okay. I know for you you're like pretty early. It's damn near noon. Well, some of us are on the other side of the world, so but um I want to bring this up real quick, because I know that there are people who see you and they look at your new rebranding, and they're going, "Wait, that doesn't look like that doesn't look right. It almost looks like, this should be some nerdy guy with D&D stuff, but with the sword and everything." Why don't you explain, because I do like the connection. Your rebranding has a lot to do with who you are. Can you
Mhm.
explain that, please?
Absolutely, Zach. So, when I was deciding what to name my LLC, my dad and I were actually watching Game of Thrones. If you're a fellow Throny in the room, you fellow Throny? Yes.
I am.
Yes. So what ended up happening is we were on that season. I'm not going to spoil anything, but when they find the dragon glass, and Dragon Glass Assistance just did not have the same ring to it as Obsidian Assistance did. So the new logo is actually a nod to the daggers that they find, and then the dragon wings are a nod to Daenerys's dragons that she gets at the end of season one. Spoiler alert, my bad.
Mm.
So I'm a huge fantasy person. I love a good story. I'm actually currently watching The Boys with my father. Great TV show. And I would say that that's primarily a huge part of who I am. I'm a media lover at my core. I love books, I love TV shows. I'm always down to watch a good movie, and I love podcasts. So I'm always listening to something new, and I'm always consuming some sort of media, whether it's in music or a podcast, books, those kinds of things. So when it came to branding and rebranding my business as this Obsidian Assistance, the name stayed the same, but we wanted to incorporate the nerdiness of who I am into the logo and into the business as well.
On your newsletter, which we're going to be talking about here in a little bit, but on your newsletter, I also noticed another thing, that where Sierra, where you have your name, you have another little logo, and it's a dragon, and that dragon has a special meaning to you as well.
Absolutely. So it's a nod to Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon, which is arguably one of the best animated movies I've ever seen. And my very first tattoo was a toothless tattoo. And to me and my family, I'm known as the Toothless of the family, because me and Toothless kind of connect on certain levels. We're both kind of shy, but we also want to be fiercely protective of the people we love. So the dragon is kind of a nod to Toothless in that sense. So that's for my personal brand, Sierra Joy.
That's really cool. I like that. Like I said, it's just I know it's a weird place to start, but yeah, I wanted to get that out, because the Obsidian Assistance, it did go through, it was a drastic rebrand. Um, what got you, Sierra, and let's just put it out there, you're very, very young. What
Mhm.
got you into wanting to become a virtual assistant?
My nonprofit work was when I was in high school for scholarships, they wanted you to volunteer. And the closest place to me, and really the only place I had access to, was my local Habitat for Humanity. They help build homes for lower income families.
Mhm. I love
So,
Habitat for Humanity. That's one of the big organizations that I fully am behind.
exactly, exactly. And I wanted to not only do it for scholarships, but I wanted to genuinely help people. And in that sense, me and the volunteer coordinator at the time really clicked, and we really meshed really well together. So what ended up happening was during my volunteer hours, I became the volunteer coordinator's assistant rather than helping on the floor. So I helped her with intake for volunteers, hours, doing all sorts of administrative duties, from doing emails, spreadsheets, all the way down to answering phones. So when it came to being a virtual assistant, I was actually in college at the time that I started the business. And I was like, okay, so I have all this administration background and the social media background from my high school years. What can I do with that to bring income into my family to help my family during COVID? And I could not go to a traditional 9 to 5 or like an in person working thing, because not only were we during COVID, but my grandmother was extremely high risk. So what ended up happening was is I googled how, I'm sure all of us at some point have googled how to make money online, and I just added as a college student at the end of it, and freelancing is what kept coming up. Being a virtual assistant kind of called to me in the sense that I felt drawn to it, because it's another way for me to help people without going to medical school. And school has never really been for me. I did end up dropping out of college to pursue the business full time. I was in college for business marketing. So I took those, what short time I was in college, I took those lessons and I applied them to my business, and I was learning much more on the practical end of things than I was on the studying end of things. So I ended up dropping out, like I mentioned earlier. And I think that was really the biggest thing for me, is that it just kind of called to me. I wanted to help people and I wanted to de-stress people's lives. And I know de-stress isn't technically a word, but that's ultimately what ended up happening.
Yeah, I think in the business world, de-stress is a word because if you're doing it alone, you need to de-stress. And that is one of the things that you can help. I What is the excitement when you get to learn about these different companies that you're assisting? I mean, how exciting is that? That uh, in one day you might be helping a nonprofit and a business at the same time on a day. How exciting is that to you? Because you get to learn about the different ways that people do business every day.
It's thrilling because then I can bring those aspects into my own business, or I can use what I've learned to apply to somebody else's business and make their lives easier. And
Hmm.
I'm a big fan of, you never know if you're going to love or hate working in an industry or working somewhere until you actually try it. So I'm always open to working with different industries. I'm always open to working in like finance or like with creatives. Those are two of my favorite people to work with. And people in the IT space as well. They have so much knowledge that they're more than willing to pass down to the next generation of entrepreneurs and business owners.
See, I see what you do and what we're trying to do. I see a similarity in between them because Sierra, I'm one of those, and I know I've said this before, but after my accident, people kept asking me, Zach, why don't you go into, because I couldn't drive truck anymore. And people were telling me, why don't you go try to sell Harley Davidsons? And my answer was very simple, very, very simple. Har- Harley Davidsons are something I love. Okay, I love the motorcycle. I love everything about them. But I could not sell that to someone else because I couldn't sell them my feeling, how I feel about it. And I would be very, very reluctant to sell somebody a motorcycle, which could easily end their life if they use the word, I think I want to learn how to ride, because I would have that in my mind. They're not ready. You
Hmm.
know when you're ready. There's no I think. So I would have trouble trying to convince somebody that, you're not ready yet. And I'd get fired immediately. What we're doing is learning about these other companies. We're learning about Obsidian Assistants. We're learning about Sishu and her coaching. We're learning about Angela and real life access. We're learning about all of you ladies and what brings your passion to the business world. And I love that because you get to be who you are. I get to be what I am and ask the questions. So that's I find that just completely fascinating. Um, what are some of the things that you love to do to help people out?
Really the communications aspect of it. So that's communications internal and external to the business. So that involves scheduling, that involves email management. Inbox cleanup is always the first step in any of this process. And same thing with calendar cleanup. It's always the first step in calendar management. And that's really helping manage people's time and manage the way that they talk to other people, which are the two biggest aspects of running a business. It's your time management, how you spend your time, and how you talk with people, and whether it's networking or they're getting introduction after introduction and they just can't keep up with it.
Mhm.
Two biggest aspects of the business. And that's really where find my favorite part of running a business is helping with those two specific aspects of it. Now, we do data entry and CRM management and project management and all of that fun stuff. That stuff is all fun and everything, but at the end of the day, what's really going to move your business forward is being able to manage your time correctly and put time towards what you actually need to put your time towards, which is most of the time where I come in as a virtual assistant, and being able to talk with people and have those conversations with people. Everything else is still as equally as important, don't get me wrong, but that's where the two biggest aspect that I've found that most people need help with is the calendar management and the inbox management.
I think one of the things that angers me is the difference between a spam introduction on email and an actual introduction on email, and trying to remember, hey, nobody introduced me to this person. This person is just coming at me in a canned cold call or whatever it is,
Mhm.
and trying to make sure that you're connecting properly with something that someone introduced you to, and this other person is they're just trying to sell you their business and they have no interest in learning about yours. And so I struggle there. I do at times. I'm like, you know what, I need to make sure that I connect with this person. This person, I don't, it doesn't matter if I blow them off, and that's a wrong word to use, but there are times, them trying to sell me their sales funnel and all that other stuff. Well, I'm not going to waste my time with that, but I need to make sure I respond to this person who I was introduced to by another contact. Is What would you do in that situation to help a business owner?
To help a business owner, I would take the one that you mentioned where it's just a spam contact and I would still have a conversation with them. I would be like, "Hey, do you happen to remember where we met at? I'm having a brain fart moment kind of situation," and put that into the email. And then what I would do is if I would have a conversation with them basically, simply because I believe that everybody deserves a chance. So you never know. It could be someone who needs your services. You never know. It could be someone who's actually reaching out for help. And if I can even provide even a fraction of that help to them, whether it's just through a one to one and me providing some productivity tips and email management tips to them, like I do in my newsletter, or just simply helping them out with whatever situation that they found themselves in, or maybe just listening to their sales pitch and giving them feedback on their sales pitch. I think that ultimately that ends up helping people as well. Now, if it's I take extensive notes, so I attend like alignable smart connects, I attend networking meetings. I spent 8 hours yesterday networking, and that's not an exaggeration. I actually have it timed how long I spent networking. As you know, I'm a huge time management nerd, so I time everything that I do in my business from client work all the way down to when I'm actually working on the business. And to me, networking is working on your business, not in it. So what ended up happening was is I take extensive notes. And then what I'll do is I'll message everybody that I connected with at the end and be like, hey, would you be up to a one to one if I feel there's synergies between our business?
Okay. Yeah, I actually, believe it or not, I respond to I try to respond to uh most of those emails like you were
Mm.
just talking about. I do actually have something for them. I need to make sure I get you that so you can take a look at that and see what it is. But I do try to respond to them as well. I try not, because you never know who's going to be business, and if you don't give them, if you don't give them a shot, I guess they're out there. But yeah, I very rarely do I get a response back. Very, very rarely. I have every once in a while, somebody will come up and go, well, I know you're counting us out already, but can we go on ahead and have a conversation? I'll sit there and I'll have a conversation with them. But if it's one of those that, it's just a bot sending me emails and I don't get a response from them, no harm, no foul. But
Exactly.
you definitely want to respond to the people who come and they respond back to you, or they were referred directly to you. So, um, social media, and I know
Hmm.
this is something that you and I have talked about quite a bit. There's been and there's going to continue to be speculation that things are going to have to change with TikTok. How has that helped or hurt TikTok in business?
Okay, so it's a double-edged sword. Right now, we don't really know if TikTok's going to be around in the next
Mhm.
year. So until they officially announce any changes, I'm going to continue doing TikTok the way that I've always done TikTok, which is chances are I'm going to post on there at minimum once a day, sometimes even up to 4 times a day, just to get my content out there and to help more people. Because even if my video even if that video only reaches one person, that one person could find something extremely valuable in the videos that I do, which to me is extremely important. So until there is an actual news release or press release from an authentic source that I trust with my life, I'm going to continue doing TikTok the way that I've always done it.
Okay. And for those of you who don't understand what we're talking about, Congress and well, everybody, when it comes to the government, has basically told TikTok that they have to get rid of their Chinese owners, or it's going to be banned in the United States. Now, is that going to happen? I have my own feelings on that, and I don't see everybody taking and quitting TikTok just because that's happened. So like Sierra is suggesting, this might be the best time just to keep doing what you're doing, make sure it works. Why is TikTok so valuable right now?
I think that ultimately it comes down to community. You can build a community on TikTok a lot easier than you can on any other social media platform because of the virality of it. So at the end of the day, community is what really people are searching for. So, for example, on my personal branding TikTok page, I post entrepreneurial, excuse my language here, shit tips. So that is me trying to help the next generation of business owners not make the same mistakes that I did. So that's me passing down all the networking advice, maybe even meeting people and having one to ones with them if they request them from me. And at the end of the day, what I think you need is an authentic community around you that people feel safe. That's at the end of the day what we all want from a community is to feel safe in it, to feel supported in it. So I think that's something TikTok is actually better at creating than some of the other platforms because of the virality of it and how easy and simple it can be to get that reach on videos if you're posting relevant and authentic content.
Um, what are some of the other really important social medias that people should be working with?
Instagram, if you are business to consumer and sometimes even B2B. I know for my generation, we're more likely to search up a business on Instagram or social media before we go to Google. So I think having some sort of presence on there is important If you are specifically B2B, LinkedIn and Alignable. Alignable, I like to call is the baby version of LinkedIn. It's much more localized than LinkedIn is, whereas a LinkedIn is more international and national. So, what I recommend is figure out where your audience is and then double down on that platform. So, for example, I'm doing YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn, I'm thinking, and even TikTok for my personal brand. That's where I'm posting all my videos at because I'm doing mostly video content for my personal brand. For Obsidian Assistance, I focus primarily on Alignable and LinkedIn because I know that's where I'm going to get the most reach. And that's where I've really built up those audiences and those connections.
I am actually I'm doing okay on a video series that we put out every morning. It's called What You Got, to where we bring up, like, this is the, it's chocolate chip cookie day or
Hmm.
something like that. We're just asking people a question every day. Hey, chocolate chip cookies, do you add anything to them? Yes or no? Whatever it is. I've been seeing a lot more response from LinkedIn and X over
Hmm.
anything else. And the one thing that bugs me about Alignable is you can't add that video. You can add the link to YouTube, but you can't just add the video.
Hmm.
And that and I've actually talked to people at Alignable and said, look, this is ridiculous. You're knocking me, not just me, other companies, you're knocking out a big part of what we do by not allowing that to happen. Does that does that put limitations on what you would put on Alignable?
Not really, no, because I always in my captions, and or descriptions, as platforms will refer to it as what platforms will refer it to, I always go over what I go over in the video because some people learn easier by hearing and seeing it, and some people learn easier by simply reading it. I know I read a lot faster than I hear, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So I always go in and I add in a very descriptive caption that is filled with keywords for each platform, and I'll tweak it for each platform as there are different audiences on each platform and everything. And then I will, because you have a 700 character limit on Alignable, so I will also shorten it down and make sure I add some sort of call to action or maybe even a link at the bottom of it. If they want to watch the video, they have access to watching the video. One thing I have noticed though is that if you add a link, and I don't know if this is verified, but one thing I've noticed with my reach is if you add a link, it won't get seen as often by your community. And I don't know if that's verified. It's just something I've noticed from my own analytics and my own reach is that anything with a link in it doesn't get seen as often.
Yeah, I think that Alignable's got a long way to go. I do like it. Like you said, they've got a great networking system,
Yeah.
to where it's like a localized networking system. I think Alignable is very important in that part, but I think that they've got a lot to do with posting before they catch up to the other ones. There are new organizations coming out as well. You've Be Connected and some of these other things they're starting. Are there any of those that are going to really start as business owners? Is there any of those that we should really start thinking about maybe looking at?
I got actually recommended to be connected the other day, and I have started posting on there, and I've gotten a few connections, but nothing that has turned into anything. But I'm not saying that it's not going to turn into anything. But one thing that I will say is that the photographers and the videographers and the freelancers that I've noticed, due to the new AI situation and all of that stuff, is going to Cara, due to their privacy protections. So I would check that out if you fall within the creatives category. I have not signed up for it yet. That's on my list of things to do this weekend. As you know, I was recently hospitalized, so things have fallen off my list of to-do list for working on my business in order for me to get client work done. And so that's on my list of things to do, but I will keep you updated on that.
Okay, I know that we have become interested in trying to work with this changing work organization. Really interested to see what they're doing. They've got like an old school chat room program, which or organization, which is really interesting to me because, like I mentioned to one of the co-founders, you know, yes, I'm old enough to where I should know what a chat room, an old-fashioned chat room is, but I was
Mhm.
never on computers. My son was always telling me, Dad, if you walk near that computer, I'm going to break your legs because I always made computers crash. So he wouldn't allow me to go there. But yeah, so that's another one. I just sent you the link for that. But you did bring it up, and this is something that you and I discussed before this. You were hospitalized. You were having a very, very tough time, and you made the decision. In my mind, you made the correct decision to seek help. Can you go on ahead and expound on this?
Absolutely. So I was driving, and trigger warnings here for people. If you don't want to listen to this part, please skip ahead to the next part. I was driving, doing some errands for the 9 to 5 that I was working at. It was basically my last day there. And they had me running around in my car to do some errands, and a car swerved into my lane. And for a split second, I had this really scary thought where, like, maybe this wouldn't be the worst thing that had could happen to me, basically, is if I had died right then and there. Like I said, trigger warnings, please skip ahead if this is uncomfortable for anybody. And as soon as I got back to the office of where I was working, my mom actually works there as well. And I told her what had happened. And both me, her, and my dad, we all collectively made the decision for me to go to the hospital and see what would basically happen. And I ended up getting Baker acted, which basically means I was sent to a mental health facility for 3 days, 72 hours, to wean myself off of the medication. Because what ended up happening was I had a recent uppage in the dosage of the antidepressant I was on, and that's when those thoughts started. So, it was honestly probably one of the most nerve-wracking and scary things I've ever encountered, having that thought, because it was just so far from my normal thoughts that I was like, "Yo, what just happened here?" And it freaked me out. So, I spent 3 days being weaned off of the medication that I was on, and I'm now down to 37.5 milligrams, and I'm seeing a psychiatrist as well to help me get on something better for my system and to where I don't have those thoughts anymore. But I'm perfectly healthy now. And this is something I'm going to battle with regardless. And I think that's something that it's intertwined with your business is your mental health.
You know, there's something very important a very important distinction that we need to make here. You weren't thinking, "Hey, that's it. I'm going to kill myself." You were thinking, "Hey, what the hell does it matter if I die right now?" It's not, there's a huge distinction between I'm done, I'm going to kill myself, and what's it matter if I die?
Mhm.
So, I remember my job prior to the accident. I remember feeling that way all the time. Life was a lot different. I had more stressors than I do at this time, and I felt disrespected in a lot of ways, and it was a drag, and it was a grind, and everything was just, hustle, hustle, hustle. And you know, I was so used to life that way that I never even saw it as a problem. I just saw it as life. Um, And you and I were talking about it the other day. I was also on, when I went to go quit smoking, I was on a medication called Wellbutrin. And Wellbutrin made me uh, a very bad person, have evil, evil thoughts. So they had you on a medication that was improperly dosed. What do people need to look at? If you're not feeling right, there's something wrong, right?
Mhm. And I think that's one thing you need to pay attention to yourself when you're battling anything like depression
Hmm.
or anxiety more than you pay attention to most people or other people in your life. take that time to reflect in on how you're feeling. That way you can notice those symptoms. Because I have this situation where most of the time I'm like, "Oh, you have an issue? Let me sit here and listen." And I love doing that for my friends. I love doing that for my family. I love doing that for people. But I wasn't internally reflecting on my own feelings and the way that I was feeling until I start actually experiencing physical symptoms to the medication, so physical side effects. That was always my problem. So now that I know that, I'm reflecting more inwards on how those medications affect me, and I'm focusing a lot more on myself now. And that may sound selfish to some people, but I think it's necessary, especially when you're a business owner because you spend so much time alone, and that loneliness can really get to you in certain aspects.
Think there's a very easy way to put this. If you have to give an excuse for how you're acting, there's a problem.
Mhm.
Whether it's a personal choice or whether it's maybe a problem in how you're feeling or something, there's a problem, and maybe you need to see somebody about it. Of course, if you're just like a pathological liar, and I mean, that's still a problem that you need to face and you need to work on. If you are on new medication, in which and this is just something personal, last week they ended up having to take my mother in because they had her improperly prescribed. They had
Mhm.
her, and she ended up having a reaction to a medication, and it damn near killed her. Folks, this is something you got to pay attention to. Nobody knows your body, nobody knows your mind better than you do. There's always going to be people out there saying that they know you better than you know yourself. Well, that's BS. You know yourself, you know when there's something wrong. Take that serious.
I totally 100% agree.
Um, how hard was that to maintain your vision for Obsidian while you're going through that? How difficult was that?
Ultimately, I think it's intertwined to a point where I work with such amazing people that when I sent that email out where I was the subject line, I was actually in the hospital room waiting to be transferred to the mental health facility. And I still had my phone. My mom was with me. We were together and I was being monitored 24/7. And I was like, okay, I need to email all my clients, let them know I'm having to take a couple days off and I don't know when I'm going to be back. So I emailed them, and just the subject line of my email was hospitalized. And I said, "Hey, everyone, I'm being hospitalized for a few days. I don't know when I'm going to be back. I'm going to be offline." And I think ultimately that comes down to the vision that I have for Obsidian Assistance, where I work with people who genuinely care about other people. And I got message after message as soon as that email was emailed. And I was like, my phone was blowing up. And I was like, I had forgotten by that point that I had even sent that email, and I was sitting there watching Harry Potter, the second Harry Potter movie, in fact, and with my mom, and I was like, "Yo, why are these people emailing me and messaging me?" And then I realized, "Oh, I sent that email. They're concerned." So, honesty, transparency, that's a really big thing for me in my business. And I think being honest and open, especially when you have a virtual assistant or you're going through something like this, it allows people to see another side of you. It gives them transparency that they may have not had with other VAs or other business owners. So that is one of like two of my most profound values and my vision for virtual assistants is that we need to be more honest about what we know, what we don't know, and what we're going through. That way our clients are as informed as we are.
And delegate.
Mhm.
Make sure you're not filling your head and filling your plate full of stuff that you are just not capable, or, and yes, this is going to sound mean, but it is true, smart enough to handle. Okay. Sierra, you and I are talking about you looking over my social media, because let's be honest here. I should be a genius at social media. I was around before social media. I should know everything about it. Yet I'm a yutz when it comes to social media. I don't understand a damn thing I'm doing with it.
Mhm.
Having someone smarter than you is not a bad thing. It's a great thing, and it's something that you are stressing about as a business owner when all you have to do is call on somebody who understands it better than you do, you know? Yeah, and this is something that you can take, you can do, you can bring on someone like Sierra, and you can get that off your plate, and that's one less thing that you have to worry about. So, um, Sierra, I want to thank you for being brave enough to talk about this because you and I were we were discussing whether this is somewhere where we wanted to go, and because it's a hard subject, and you're right, there are a lot of people, but I think it is so important that you're willing to talk about this because there are people who are out there not feeling right, and they want to know, should I do something about this? And that's a very simple answer, and it's yes, do
Hmm.
something about this because one mishap, one one fleeting thought, and you won't be here to help people. You have to take care of yourself to take care of others.
Exactly. And you have to seek help when you need help. I don't think anybody should go it alone, and that's one thing they really stressed in the mental health facility that I was in, was that you're not alone. And I think that also brought a new perspective to me, is that I always felt like I was alone in going through this, even though logically I know I'm not. There's what, 8 billion people on this planet. I know I'm not the only one going through some of this. And seeing those other people, interacting with them, becoming friends with them, it brought me to a new level where I was like, okay, I understand now. And I think that's really a really big thing. So even if it's outpatient or inpatient, maybe seek a support group, because I'll be going to them. That's one thing I'll be doing on top of seeing a psychiatrist and a therapist and all of that stuff. I'm going to be seeking support groups where I feel like I can talk with other people who understand what's going on. Because sometimes that's all you need is a good conversation with someone. And then sometimes you need to seek actual medical attention.
There's something, and you just brought this up, and there's something I am extremely, you almost saw me jumping out of my skin when you said it, because it's something that we say all the time, and it is no one needs to go it alone when we all come together. um we're constantly talking about how in your situation you were feeling alone, you were feeling lost, you were feeling flat out nobody understands me, nobody, yet there are people out there who understand exactly what what you're going through. They don't feel exactly like you. Do not ever mistake that. Every single one of us is different. Every single one of us is going to react to a situation a little bit different, but they understand what you're going through. There are people out there who are going through that. We just need to put it out there. Let the people know because they don't know what they don't know. They cannot support you if they don't know. So make sure you're open and honest. We're not asking you to put it out on Facebook saying, "Hey, you know, I I feel like I want to end my life." People are going to look, that's the worst thing to do. It's going to make it worse. You're going to have the jackasses out there, the vultures out there that are sitting there, and joke around about it. But there are people out there that you can reach out to that really can help you because there are people out there who, one, have been through it, or two, are trained to help you. And this is where we also say, if somebody comes to you and they're talking about this, and you don't feel like you are mentally capable of taking this in on yourself, that's not a bad thing. But make sure that you reach out to somebody else before you walk away from them, because you could tell them, "Hey, I'm going to find somebody to help you. I'll get back to you on this." Do not leave that person alone because you may not have somebody to get back to if you walk away. So, um, did you have something you wanted to add to that?
Absolutely. I agree. And I think not being left alone in that situation was what helped me the most. I had my mom by my side up until I was transferred. And it was one of those things. I was constantly on the phone with my dad. As you know, he lives an hour and a half away from where I was currently in that moment. So I think that that really does help. It's just having someone stay by your side and be like, "You're not alone. I'm here for you. I care about you. I love you, and I'm gonna be with you through this."
Um, I told you this the other day when we talked, and I seriously mean it, and I want you to know that you are never alone because I'll be here if you need, if you need somebody. You are very important to me, not just as a business partner, but as a friend. And I want you to know that if you ever need somebody to just talk to, please, and know that I'm here. But again, I want to thank you for being vulnerable and for opening up about this, because this is something that it was a hard decision whether we were going to talk about this or not. I am beyond thrilled that we did, because it is so important, and I think it's something that really emphasizes on the importance of your company,
Mhm.
because the struggle's real. Being a small business owner, that struggle is real, and look that struggle can be dangerous. So you need to make sure that you reach out to somebody and help people out. You have a wonderful, hey, I'm back, I'm ready to get at it, give me a shot. You have a wonderful sale going on.
Absolutely. So right now I'm doing a kind of sort of Christmas in July slash July 4th slash the entire month of July sale going on, where if you purchase hours from me within this month at the special discounted price, you get them not only all the way through, you can use them all the way till the end of the year. So end of December 31st, 2024 is when they expire. But you also get my administration support as well. So you can stock up on hours. You can purchase as many hours as you want. There's no limit to it, or as little hours as you need. So say you only need 10 hours, that would be 175 with the sale that I'm currently running versus the 300 that it normally is. So it's almost cutting it in half.
Yeah, and could you imagine trying to hire somebody and have them at your side for as little as $175 a week?
It's crazy. It's I know
Yeah,
I'm
that ain't
having
gonna
to.
happen. It's just simply not gonna happen. So this is a great chance to have somebody to help you and help your company. Sierra, how do people get a hold of you?
You can contact me on social media, Obsidian Assistance on across all social medias. I believe I even have an X account if I'm not mistaken. And then you can also contact me at the Sierra Joy as well. That is my personal brand. Or you can join my newsletter, which is obsidianassistance.com/newsletter. And we'll make sure all of those links are in the description below.
One of the other things that we want to highlight is your YouTube channel.
Absolutely. So I have started a YouTube channel where I'm sharing, excuse my language once again, entrepreneurial shit tips is what I'm calling the playlist. And that is for primarily any entrepreneur, whether they're older, whether they're younger, it really doesn't matter, who feels lost or just needs a little advice and guidance. So I'm sharing everything I've learned over the last 2.5 years of being an entrepreneur and over the last 6 years of being an administrative assistant. So make sure you check that out.
To all the more experienced entrepreneurs out there going, well, what the hell am I going to listen to this kid for? Well, because you know what? Everyone has different experiences, and we need to listen to each and every one of us. Nobody needs to go it alone when we all come together. Again, this is so important because we need to see things through the eyes of the younger generation. And if they are offered our experience, we can put those together. We can build these bridges and we can build something beautiful. Let's work together instead of the having that separation gap. Let's be different than when we were coming up and you had the older people saying, "Get off my lawn," and we're trying to do something new. Instead of doing that, let's work together. Let's make this wonderful space wonderful. this entrepreneurial space. And people like Sierra are here to make that happen. Sarah, once again, how do people, or Sierra, once again, how do people get a hold of you?
Absolutely. You can contact me on all social media platforms or you can email me. I'll make sure I give Zach my email address. That way you can contact me. If you just need help or support or you just need somebody to listen to and talk to, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm always here for you and we can get a meeting on the books and we can just sit here and we can chat like Zach and I have been doing for the last hour.
And you can always find her at communitypayitforward.us because she is a giving partner, giving sister in the Community Pay It Forward giving family. So, Sierra, welcome back. Congratulations on your healing. Again, please remember we're always here if you need us. Uh, and me personally, I'm always here for you. Um, my love to you and your upcoming battles. But thank you so very much. And thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure as always, Zach.
All right. Thank you very much. The dog in that little skit there kind of reminds me of my dogs last night with the fireworks. I had one that he thought he wanted to chase him until he saw him. Then he didn't want to chase him no more. So once it started spinning, it's. I think it's the first time they've ever seen fireworks. We've got the grandkids in town, so we actually did a few fireworks this year. We didn't do anything too extravagant, but it was an experience for the dogs, um, and they actually really did well. I'll be honest. I know that I've had uh, they did they did better than they did last year. That's for sure. So when we were stuck inside and they didn't see what was going on. Want to thank Sierra for opening up and sharing her story. That is so important and it's so hard to do. Um, it's really kind of what the whole goal of Footprints Forward is to share that story. Make sure that people understand that you're not alone out there. And Sierra even said it. Look, she felt alone. I think one of the morals of her story and something that's very important is one thought, one minor thought can really affect your life. There's a stat out there that the thought of suicide is mere seconds. That's it. We heard about Eli a couple weeks ago again. We replayed it, and he was at a park. He was having fun. He walked in the house, took his own life. There was no time to think about it. He was having fun. And then he just decided, you know, mere seconds. And that's why we keep telling you never walk away. If you think you're in a situation where the person is in danger, remember that. You may You may think that you have time to go home, make some calls, leave them alone. They're going to be, sleep it off, rub a little dirt in it, whatever the hell we want to say here. Sorry. It's not true. It's not true at all. Again, I want to thank all of my hosts, or all of my guests today. First off, we had Angela Fowler about 2.5 hours ago. Then we had Sishu Shen joined us. I mean, I love the way that, she spoke to me. She did. She spoke to me because of the way I felt, prior to my accident. I also want to thank Sierra Joy for joining us. One last thing before we get going, I definitely want to bring up, I want to thank Jill Schultz. JillESchultz.com, JillESchultz.com. Her story goes along with this show, and her story could have ended tragically, but she's turned it, like many of them do, she's turned it into something beautiful. If you are struggling with something that happened in your past, even if you're not ready to talk to anyone else about it, well, Jill's not here to make you a martyr. She's here to share her story with you and find out if you can walk a path of peace. Jill has become our very first PAC channel exclusive partner. So we welcome Jill E. Schultz. JillESchultz.com. Turning shame of life into self-love and abundance. Visit her website, JillESchultz.com, for a free giveaway, Undercover Your Shame. That's it. I'm done. Good week. We will be replaying this video on Monday for Footprints Forward at 9 a.m. Please have a great weekend. Be very safe out there. Just remember, 4th of July is gone. The idiots are still out there. Be careful. Make smart decisions. Be safe. All right? I'm going to go to a Rockies game tomorrow. Take my grandkids to their first ever baseball game. Get to go and hang out with Oob and Pap. And go and watch the Kansas City Royals as they come into town. Been a Kansas City Royals fan my entire life, so which just proves I'm not a huge baseball fan because it's the Royals and Rockies. Make sure you love somebody out there because somebody out here loves you. My name is Zach Clayton. I'm the president and founder of Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the PAC channels. I welcome you to join us and tell your story by scanning this QR code. This QR code will take you to a form where you can join Jill and become a sponsor of a show or the channel and help us to where I don't have to split my shows in 2 times. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Enjoy. Happy 4th of July. Happy Independence Day. Thank you to all of our heroes who put their lives on the line last night to make sure people's houses didn't burn down. And thank you to you. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you next week. Please remember, Wednesday, we do have our great friend, Les Simpson.
Stepping out of her fear, bring me home, out alone, show me the way. Sunset Boulevard.